Tatus and Nance.
Great man. 50 seconds to go. Hurts. Deep shot. Hold in, Devontae.
Sure.
Before the press conferences even start. I mean, we could talk for 45 minutes just about how atrocious the defense is.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live and brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products, the GOAT in below-the-waist maintenance. Make sure you check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM at checkout. Get your 20% off free shipping and let them know Team DSM sent you. And, hey, you won't be disappointed. Their products are awesome. So make sure you check them out, manscaped.com, promo code DSM. We're live, like I said, on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Hit that like button, that share button on Facebook, on Twitter. Retweet it out on Facebook, on YouTube. I don't even know what to tell you to do on Twitch because I still don't know what Twitch is. But on YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up. That's the best place to get your comments in on the show as we discuss lots of different topics today. Mock draft, as these examples are going up on screen, mock draft season. You know, one more day till the James Harden debut. Cannot wait for that. But also make sure you hit that subscribe button. We finally got the road to 500 complete. We're up to 504 subscribers on YouTube. That's awesome. Now comes the hard work. Now comes the road to 1K. Now comes the road to getting to that place where we can actually start to make a little bit of money on this adventure we're doing here in the morning show, Trending in the AM. So now we got to really push. So subscribe. I can't say it enough. I am Phil Stifle, your host, as always, right here on Trending in the AM. At People Knowledge on Twitter. Make sure you give me a follow. And joining me back in the co-host chair after a few days off is my partner in crime on the show, Jason Voorhees, at Mustang3651. Good morning, Jason. How you doing today?
What's going on, homie? How are you?
Not much. I mean, you know, your boy. We randomly hooked up with Joe Bucci. I had no idea he was one of your close friends. Joe Bucci filled in the last 2 days for you, so shout out to him, Joe Bucci, SB52 on Twitter. He did a pretty decent job there. Yeah, but it's good to have you back in the chair.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super proud of him, though. Like, honestly, like, to be able to come on a podcast, like, never having been on any podcast ever in his life, and to, like, be that good. I mean, I was pretty amazed. Yeah. I'm happy for him. So
I'm happy too. I mean, because we got Team DSM, but we got little pockets of families, and the trending family. First, it was me and you. Well, first it was me and Jeremy. Then Jeremy moved on. Then me and you, and then me, you, and Mark. And now it's me, you, Mark, and maybe Joe Bucci starts to become part of the trending family. Just the four of us there. We're growing. I'm getting new kids. You're all my kids. You know what I mean?
Talent.
Yeah.
Talent breeds talent. I mean,
I would not call myself talented yet, but
I've learned from the GOAT, man. Since day one, when I hooked up with you when you were at your old network, you've taught me everything I know about podcasting. And I mean, obviously, I taught myself a lot too. I mean, I have my own show, but I mean, I look up to you, and I really kind of believe you're my mentor.
You're always way, way, way too kind to me, and I appreciate that so much. But anyway, today is good morning, Jim. You know, thanks for checking in. We got some things going on today. So tomorrow is normally Football Friday, but tomorrow's the debut of James Harden with the Sixers. So I know tomorrow's show is going to be heavily dominated with James Harden talk. So I said it last week. I did it on Friday with Dylan from Turf Talk and Team DSM. Mock draft season is upon us. Every single week, we're going to do a different themed mock draft. Last week was what would Howie do? We're going to do a mock draft today. Today's theme is going to be what would GM Jason Voorhees do with each pick? You're not allowed to make trades. So that's going to be what we start the show off with. And then we're also going to go into, I'm just going to do a rapid fire. There's a lot of little stories and important stories going on in sports that we don't spend enough time with. So the mock draft will take 20, 30 minutes, and we're just going to start rolling through different topics. Aaron Rodgers, Major League Baseball, a bunch of different little smaller things that we're just going to touch on, talk about. I would be remiss not to mention, sports, this is our outlet. This is how we, get through the troubles and the tough times of our day-to-day, life, the stresses of the day-to-day life. But there's some crazy crap going on over in Europe right now with Russia and the Ukraine. And I mean, I had CNN on before we were doing this show, start the show this morning. And sometimes it puts into perspective how lucky we are to be able to do these kind of things. And what's going on over there. I hope everyone's safe. I hope it's resolved quickly and safely. But man, that's scary what's going on over there, and it could escalate much worse than it is right now. And I'm just hoping that it doesn't. I'm not sure if you're keeping up on that kind of world news, and I don't want to make this a depressing show or anything, but we're lucky to be able to do this for a living every single morning and not be in a situation like that.
No, I think you nailed it. Like honestly, we are blessed, and I think we take for granted.
That's why I wanted to say that. Take for granted.
Definitely take for granted the fact of that we are United States citizens, and we're basically like a lot of times, when you're in the grind, the daily the daily routine. A lot of people are unhappy with their jobs, miserable. But the way you got to do it is, and it's kind of what I always find myself doing when I get in that mood where I'm like negative and I'm bitching about my job and complaining about my life and how I hate depression and all these other things. I kind of have to take a step back and say, you know what? It could be a lot worse. Like, I'm alive. I'm fully in recovery. I'm going 6.5 years sober. Like, I have my life back. Like, things could be always a lot worse. And then when you bring up, the Ukraine-Russia thing, it's like,
things that happen on a world level. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And we can't fathom what's going on because a lot, generally we're safe from that. We don't have those kind of issues for the most part. I mean, obviously at 9/11, you have a lot of, things that happen that are bad, but I'm saying, on a normal scale, we are blessed, and you're right. Like, you got.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I've mentioned it a few times before on different shows I've done here on DSM and in previous segments. I worked on a cruise ship for a few years back in the day after college, and on a cruise ship, the ship I worked on, the first ship I worked on, there were 950 crew members that lived on the ship. 9 of them were Americans. There were 54 different countries represented on my first ship that I worked on. And, you saying that we take for granted, I mean, it's totally accurate because, I got to meet and talk with people that just wished, they had the life that the life we take for granted. They always wish that, wish that for them and their countrymates and all. But anyway, I didn't want to get too deep into that. I just wanted to make sure people take a few minutes today and just think of those people that are going through some pretty crazy, crazy times over there in Russia, because we're more of a distraction for those people. We want to be a distraction from the problems in life. With these morning shows, talk sports, have a little fun. Lighten the mood a little bit, and we'll transition by making jokes. Philly, you bringing your Harden jokes into here. Save the Harden jokes for tomorrow. Tomorrow's Football Friday is going to be Harden Friday. That's all we're going to talk about. James Harden and the Sixers tomorrow. So save the Harden, jokes for tomorrow. But anyway, so mock draft season, Jason. I don't know if you got a chance to watch Mock Draft 1.0 where we did the what would Howie do, but it's pretty simple here. I got the mock draft here up on the screen. Now we're going to go with that screen right there. Basically, you're the Eagles. You're going to get to make all 7-round picks for the Eagles, okay? And this last time we did this, we'll remove this so we can talk for a second. It was, again, we had to make the picks, based off of what we think Howie would do, not what we want Howie to do. So this one, I'm putting this draft on you. The future of the Eagles is on your shoulders. The GM, Howie Roseman, was fired. Jason Voorhees was put in the chair by Jeffrey Lurie. You were given a 3-year, $5 million contract, $5 million a year contract, okay? You are in control of the future here. You cannot make trades. You have to select each pick.
We're going
to get into mock drafts where trades are allowed.
I know.
Which, you know what? Real quick, I want to sidetrack for a second. So I'm going to start this draft real quick and pause it immediately, okay? So we've talked a lot about moving draft picks into the future, right? And, what you could get as a return. So I started earlier this morning. I was messing around with just the Jets. I picked the Jets because, Joe Douglas, running the franchise up there. We've got a connection with Joe Douglas. People would say that maybe, Joe Douglas would, work with the Eagles if we wanted to trade out one of these picks. So I was just curious, again, this is what PFF grades out these trades, what they would say. So it's not necessarily 100% accurate, But I was just saying, say we wanted to trade away the 15th pick, one of our three, the 15th, the most valuable pick, okay? And we want next year's first from the Jets. So I tried running this mock draft where we got their second-round pick, and you hit propose, decline. So you go back to the simulation. You propose this trade again with the Jets, okay? 15th pick, a very valuable pick for their first-round pick, and their second-round pick, number 38. Click propose, confirm, decline. So then you get to this proposal, 15 for their third round pick, number 69, and their first round pick. And that, basically that gets accepted. So the people saying that we could trade our first round pick for a first next year and a second round pick for a high second round pick, according to PFF's mock draft trade simulator, that's not enough. You're not going to be able to get a first next year and a second this year for that 15th pick. Now, if you get somebody in like the middle of the second round, maybe it gets accepted. But for the first team I selected, the Joe Douglas-led Jets, because of that connection, you are not getting either their early second round picks for that 15th pick. So I just want people to think about that, what a potential value would be on this return. Because if I'm trading one of those picks, I want a second round pick. I want another second round pick. I don't know what your thoughts on that. Do you think PFF's overvaluing or undervaluing that pick?
I mean, I think that could possibly change, give or take by the week. I think a lot of times those things, I don't know who actually runs the ratings on the mock simulators. I guess it's just put in there as I'm reading what George is saying.
Yeah, I mean, George is right. So basically, what the mock is saying is based off of an average board. Nobody slipping down the draft board. No, like if somebody the Jets want really bad slips down, then maybe they up it and give in that second round pick. But pre-draft, before any picks have been made, that's what this is going on. Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing. But I still want to start getting a general idea. And there's ways to run this mock draft where I do it slower instead of the fast speed to roll through it. But if you do it slower, you can see one pick at a time come off the board. And as certain picks come off the board, that return value will change. I'm just talking about pre-draft. Nobody's been picked yet. What the big board says today. Once the combine wraps up, that big board's going to change again. So this is going to continue to fluctuate as we go. But as of this day, according to the big board, 15 is not worth 35 or 38 and next year's first of the Jets. That's, as of now, the value, whatever algorithm percentage they've put on each pick. It's not equal yet. It's just something I want to throw out there. It's something to keep in the back of your mind. I think that's more, the mock draft simulator is more fun to mess around with those trade values and see what people are really thinking these numbers are worth. So just something to look at, just something to think about. But Jason, are you ready to mock draft here?
Sure.
All right, so let's go.
I haven't done much homework, so hopefully.
No, don't worry. The board will tell you everything. You can see the screen, right?
I can.
All right, so let's draft. Eagles pick at 15. Let's see who's on the board at 15. No drafts. So this is how it worked out. So earlier, I just want to repeat. Jags take Evan Neal 1. Thibodeau went 2.
It's hard
Hutchinson
to read.
3, Booth 4. Cross. Matt Corral going 6. Oh, my God. I hate that. Kalafdis fell to 8. See, now this is the first thing. And George Kalafdis starts to drop a little bit. I can see Howie Roseman moving up for him. I can. Mod Gardner. Kyle Wilson. If he fall at the last mock draft I ran off screen, Kyle Hamilton fell to 10 to the Jets. I can see the Eagles moving up to get him at number 10. Stingley at 12. He falls. I can see the Eagles going for him. I think the Eagles want David Ajobi. They're not going to trade up for David Ajobi, but he almost fell there. So right now, you've got wide receiver from Ohio State, Chris Olave, highly rated guy. Jamison Williams, another wide receiver, the guy that tore his ACL. Tyler Linderbaum, guy that everyone wants to replace Jason Kelsey. They're your top guys. You got Devin Lloyd a little further down here at linebacker. You got a couple defensive tackles. If you're making this pick, we got Kata saying if Pickett's there at 15. But I'm not taking Pickett at 15, but I don't know what Jason. This is Jason's mock draft. This is totally Jason's mock draft. So, Jason, You're in charge. What are you doing here at 15?
I want Devin
Remember,
Lloyd.
you've got 15, and you get to basically make 2 picks in a row here because the Eagles have 15 and 16. So you're picking 2 in a row here. So it doesn't matter who you take first.
Well, I want Devin Lloyd.
So you're taking Devin Lloyd at 15.
I think it's time to buck the trend.
All right. That's fine. This is your pick. I would have taken Devin Lloyd at 16. I think that's a better vet. No, I'm just kidding. I'm making a joke. So now you're on the clock again. You've got your stud linebacker now to help anchor your defense. What are you going with your next pick?
Linderbaum.
I knew you were going to go there because I think it's too hard to pass up on his talent if he's there at 16.
Yeah, take him.
So now you're at 19. Wow, both wide receivers are still on. This is not Howie. If Howie was in this position, Howie would be taking one of these wide receivers.
I want a wide receiver. I want Williams.
You want Williams, even though he's coming off the torn ACL.
Yep.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. I agree with you on that. Okay. So far, that's not a bad first round. You've got yourself a stud wide receiver. You got yourself the replacement of Jason Kelsey, and you got yourself a starting linebacker for the next 10 years.
Whoa, what's this trade offer?
No. I said no trades. No trades.
Oh, they just offered one though.
The trades just pop every pick. The trades pop.
Yeah,
up.
but I'm saying if they offer you can't trade.
Not in this mock draft. Next mock draft we do. Maybe we can.
Right.
This one, no. I mean, they'll pop up. Look at all these. We can get 51 and next year's 7th for 66 and 90. We can get 51 for 58 and 113. They're always throwing these random things out there. You can counter the draft. You can do so many. That's the fun thing about this. You can mess around as a GM here. But anyway, you're on the clock. Pick 51. Top player available. It's a wide receiver. And this has happened to me multiple mock drafts. Mr. Carson again. Bringing another Carson in here. Carson Strong, quarterback in Nevada, is on the board. And I know Howie would love to jump at another quarterback. I don't think you personally would. But you got a lot of positions here. If you want me to click on any of these names, you let me know. I could bring up their reports here.
Who's the tight end?
Trey McBride from Colorado State. He is massive, 6'4", 260. He's basically that big-bodied guy. He catches the ball really well. Everything I've read is he's one of the best tight ends in this draft because of his size. He's basically a bigger, stronger Dallas Goedert.
Where's Edge?
It's tough being on the clock, isn't it?
Where's Edge?
I'm sorry?
Edge rushers.
So your top edge rusher is Drake Johnson. 2 words, flash into this thing: athletic and versatile.
Ugh. Reminds me of Derek Barnett.
Hold on, full report here. I can't bring the full report up on the screen, but I want to see here. So he is a 6'4", 255-pound junior. They haven't. USC hasn't had his first round pass rusher pick since 2015. Athleticism, areas for improvement is his tackling. when the first thing that comes up as your area of improvement is your tackling,
and that's the Eagles' worst strength.
Yeah,
I mean worst weakness. Who else? Is there any other edges?
Oh, well, there's plenty of edges available, but they're further down the board. So number 51, Sam Williams from Mississippi. He's 6'4", 265. Checks off almost every athletic box. Can he be a productive football player? That's the question. That's why getting the edge guys in the first round are so key.
Yeah, but I would have I wanted the 3.
Right. No, I know.
And he didn't drop, so I would have traded. You know what I want? I want to trade.
You would have traded up to get Karlaftis or one of the other guys. I would have
traded up to get the other one. Yeah.
Real quick, to answer George's question, why would we draft a wide receiver in the first round? Because you don't need one wide receiver, George. You need 2. You need to go get Calvin Ridley, Allen Robinson. No one's saying Devontae Adams has come to the Eagles. If you see somebody saying that, tag me in that post because then I want to see that because I have not seen anybody say the Eagles are making a major push for Devontae Adams. But Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, those guys, we need one of those. But we still need another wide receiver because let's be honest, we are that's how deep we need multiple wide receivers and multiple edge rushers in the draft and in free agency. There's no doubt about it in my mind. I can sort them just by defense.
Here's one cornerback.
Top cornerback is number 55 on the board, Darian Kendrick from Georgia. I love people from the big schools like Georgia, Alabama, Auburn. Let's see, Darian Kendrick. He is 5'11", 202, decent size. He's a definite first-round pick.
And you're getting him in the second.
Yeah, and you're getting he's got listed that he could be a first-round pick, but
I
he's
want
available.
Him. Give me him.
All right, Darian Kendrick is your pick. So you get yourself a cornerback. Let me bring this back to the all screen. Carson Strong went off the board in the third round. All right, so now you're back to pick number 83. Boye Mafe is your top edge guy. I've actually followed him a few times. I mean, he doesn't have any information on here, but his name's really cool, Boye Mafe. You got another cornerback. You got another center. Lots of linemen, on the board. I could page down a little bit further, more wide receivers, more linebackers.
Is that the highest edge?
That's the highest edge. He's ranked the 67th prospect, and you're picking at 83.
Give me him.
Give you him. Gotcha. Oops, wrong screen here.
I'll take Mafia.
Yeah, I just love the name. Mafia, whatever it is. I think it's a great name. Gotta say, Mafi's good. Yeah, this is the key question right here, or comment here. Select players from the SEC, Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Clemson. I've been preaching this for years, and that is exactly what I want. And that's what we did last year by getting Devontae Smith and getting Landon Dickerson. That's what I want to see the Eagles do again, is go for those guys. All right, so you're now at 123. You've gotten an edge rusher, you've gotten a cornerback, you've gotten a linebacker, a wide receiver, and you've gotten the replacement for Jason Kelsey. There's still, you can still go with multiple of the same positions.
Running back.
Do you want running back? Jerome?
I want to look at who's the best running back.
Jerome Ford, Cincinnati. They were a really good team this year. First off, I want to go to his full report here because I want to see his size. He's 5'10", 209, so he's a small guy. They say he's game-breaking speed, straight line speed, something that Miles Sanders does not do. He bounces around too much, Miles Sanders. All right, he's a home run hitter, translates well to the next level. Yeah, I mean, he's okay.
Miles replacement.
Is he Miles' replacement? Do you want him? Am I clicking him?
Yeah.
All right, Jerome Ford. There you go. I think that's something to continue talking about as the offseason rolls along. Is Miles going to be here or not? So I think that's important to discuss. All right, you're at 154. You still got another. You got another edge guy on the board. You got Lucas Krull, another tight end. Just going with the top guy, best available.
Who is it?
His name is Dominique Robinson from Miami of Ohio. You also got an edge from Arkansas, Trey Williams. You got a safety, Quentin Lake.
Yeah, let's go safety.
All right, Quentin Lake.
You're
building a well-balanced draft right here. A little bit of everything. Let's get that off the board. All right, we're at 162. You still got top three guys available are all tight ends. Let's see if any of them have any information. This guy's 6'6", 257 in 3 seasons, 106 catches and 17 touchdowns. You got Cole Turner from Nevada, 6'6", 240.
We need a backup. We need a backup for Goddard. So yes, I think go tight end.
Okay, well you got 3 of them. You got the top guy available who has no information. You got the second guy that's got 17 career touchdowns.
What school is the top
Pittsburgh,
guy?
Pittsburgh, Iowa State, and Nevada. Tough choices.
I've heard of Kroll. Is Kroll?
It is
Lucas
Krull, yeah.
Yeah,
the Krull from
let me
the
take
event.
him.
All right, we'll go with the top available tight end there. All right, 166. And one of the guys is still on the board. Then you go linebacker. You got the guy that I've been eyeing up just because he's another guy with a cool name, Sky Moore. Who doesn't want a wide receiver with the name Sky? He just sounds like a guy that's going to just go and moss every single – go. You got mossed kind of, attitude. But anyway, got wide receivers, tight ends, cornerbacks, safeties, defensive tackles, more running backs. Where do you want to go next with your thing here?
Who are the tackles? I haven't taken a tackle yet.
You got defensive tackle here, UCLA. I can't even say his name. Atito Agbonia. I think I said.
What round is this?
We are at pick 166, which would be round 5. You're running out of picks.
Let me go with him.
All right, you're just going with the best defensive tackle. Taking a 169 with the 166 pick. I like it. Hey, you're building a well-rounded draft. You know, Howie's more like a guy that he'll draft like 3 of the same position and hope one works out.
No.
All right, we're at pick 205. I think this is our last pick. I don't think we have a 7th-round pick. Yeah. So this, I believe, is your last pick of the draft. You got the top-rated guy is a quarterback from Texas or Alabama A&M, Aqeel Glass. You got another edge guy from Western Kentucky. Got an offensive tackle from North Dakota State. We're staying away from North Dakota State, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if we need anybody from that school again. You got another edge rusher from Western Michigan. You got another wide receiver. You got a punter. I see a lot of people take the quarterback. I want to see who this guy. Oh, it says coming soon. So we have no idea who he is. You're just taking a quarterback just to take a quarterback. Okay. And I believe that's the end of the draft. I don't believe we have any more picks. That is correct. All right, so mock draft 2.0. What would Jason do? All right, sorry about that. I was just trying to read some things.
It's okay.
All right, yeah. So trying to catch up. I'm running on the mock draft. I'm running on another screen, so I'm trying to catch up on comments there. All right, so I want to focus here on the top picks that you did. All right, and how this would improve this team. Okay, first off, getting linebacker with pick 15. I mean, this is not something I see Howie doing. But Jason, I mean, you just made every Eagles fan's day by going out and getting a top tier linebacker and a top center.
I'm not Howie Roseman.
Exactly. You're not Howie. This whole draft was centered around what would Jason Voorhees, the new GM of the Eagles, do. And going out and getting the best linebacker on the board, so it's a fantastic. You're making Eagles Twitter happy by doing that. So I love that pick. Tyler Linderbaum. Again, personally, I think Kelsey comes back next year. Personally, I think between Kelsey, Sayamalu, Driscoll, Dickerson, we don't need a center. A backup center or a future center. I don't think we need him. And I think that's, a position eventually that we could trade out of if he's there to somebody that wants him. But again, probably, not, draft position wise, but talent wise, probably one of the 10 best talented guys in this draft. And then going and getting Jameson Williams. I know he tore his ACL, but there's chances he'll be back by week 1, week 2. I think he's a top 5, top 10 pick if he doesn't tear his ACL. So you're getting him at 19. Then you went out and addressed other defensive positions, the cornerback and the edge there with picks 51 and 83. I will be posting this. On Twitter later today. George saying, fire Jason. I don't know if that's a joke because we all say fire Howie all the time. Are we going to have to start a hashtag, fire Jason, Jason Voorhees on Twitter because of how they say fire Howie Roseman hashtag all the time? Yeah, Carter saying, bad draft, injured wide receiver and a center who won't play this year. I mean, I'm just happy with it because you went out and got Devin Lloyd with the 15th pick. You addressed one of the biggest needs of this team over the last 20 years. It's been so long since we've had elite linebacker play. And you went out and you got one.
They said the same thing about last year's draft being bad when they took the center or the offensive lineman last year. And what happened? He's turned out to be amazing. So I don't listen to anybody that comes in and says that.
Yeah.
It's all about opinion. It's all about what you think. And
no, this is mock draft 2.0. I guarantee by draft time, we probably have about 20 of these mock drafts done. And I do want grades.
20 different ones.
Yeah, but I love you. You went so balanced. You went linebacker, center, wide receiver, quarterback, edge, running back, safety, tight end, defense. I don't think you didn't double up on a single position here. You just
because I don't like that theory. I think Howie Roseman does it too much and never hits. Well, hits occasionally.
Yeah, I mean, he drafted 2 late wide receivers the other year.
I mean, I would hope that you would hit.
He goes Hightower and Watkins. He went Hightower and Watkins. Watkins hit. Hightower didn't. You know what I mean? So, all right, Carter. You're next on the agenda. I'll do the what would Carter do mock draft 3.0. Well, we'll have to set that date up.
But you're talking also, I didn't do any homework. This is basically blindly coming into this. Obviously, I do homework. No, yeah, but Carter's saying a real one, like as if mine wasn't good. I mean,
no, he's giving you a hard time.
Yeah, I know he could bust balls, but my point is that I didn't look. So once I go and I actually read and look up on some of these guys, maybe my draft
when
changes.
we get closer to the draft,
Yeah, exactly.
we'll do Jason Voorhees
This
mock.
was like blindly.
So trending mock 2.0 was Jason's mock 1. So trending's mock 20 will be Jason's mock number 2. So we'll see. By that point, we'll have a better understanding. And I'm going to try. I'm reaching out to a bunch of people, some draft expert kind of people, and we will have some of them on this show throughout the weeks leading up to the draft, and we'll have some guys that really know these things a lot better on this show. But still,
But you also make a good point. Like, we did this. Obviously, this is all in fun, and we did this.
All in fun.
We did this obviously as a what we want or how we would do it. But like you said, the generality is the fact that we aren't the GMs and it's Howie. So we could do all these that we want, but if you realistically want to get an idea of what Howie would do, then you have to kind of use that mentality, right, like you always say, because people are always freaking out. Like, obviously, Devin Lloyd is not a Howie type pick, but to me, Devin Lloyd was the best pick on the draft board, and at a position that is a huge need for this team. I don't think you can look at any position on that defensive line, as far as defensive end, and say that it's not a position of need in some capacity. Even cornerback, obviously, you have Darius Slay, but you need another corner. I mean, Steven Nelson's not truly the answer, in my opinion. And, Avonte Maddox truly did well where he is, but obviously you still need that, second corner. You can't ever go wrong going in the trenches. You need defensive tackles. Like, obviously, Fletcher Cox is getting older. Right. Like I said, I tried to be balanced, and you're right. Maybe, I didn't hit on, the right positions, but I like I said, to me, Linderbaum, I mean, I know a lot of people aren't feeling him, but I just see that talent and what our offensive line. To me, I think offensive line is the number one important position if you're rebuilding, which the Eagles still technically are. Yeah. And, Lane Johnson, like I said, I'm not saying Lane Johnson's, done in a year, but he is getting older. Like, to me, I don't think you can go wrong getting Linderbaum, because if you get another center and Jason Kelce does come back another year, okay, big deal. Mm-hmm. Then you have him for when Jason Kelce's on the verge of retirement, regardless of the situation. It gives you more options. You can actually trade somebody. Nobody's talking about that. Like, I don't know. Like I said, could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go through some fun comments here. Yeah, there's no such thing as a draft expert. Mel Kiper is an expert from Freddie Defo. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, everybody claims. I mean, if you can find me, there's two things in life that you could get paid big time money and be wrong 95% of the time. It's being a draft expert and being a weatherman or woman. I mean, they're the only two jobs in America that you could get paid millions of dollars and be wrong all the time and still get paid. So yeah, exactly. It's all opinion. It's all theory. That's all it is. Carter jumping in saying, we bash Howie for drafting when he's. Yeah, I mean, Carter, we've brought this up many times on the show. The reason why Howie gets bashed is because of his 2 or 3 misses are so
criminal
big. He's made 2 or 3 criminal misses, but the rest of his drafting is not bad. But you still got it. You can't push aside those criminal misses, the Reggers, the J. Jaws. You can't push those aside.
It set the team back.
Exactly.
It hurt your ability to draft in the way that would actually fix the team in a quicker way, in a quicker fashion. Because, like I said, had you hit on the Jefferson and the, say you had taken Jefferson and Metcalf, you definitely last year would have taken Devonta Smith. You would have went and took Micah Parsons. You would already be you would be way ahead of where you're at right now in the rebuild. That set it back so far. Because if you hit on even one of those wide receivers, if you just took Jefferson and still took J-Jaw, you're still in way better position than you're in now. And that's a fact. And
Absolutely.
that's why he does get better. You're right. His drafts aren't that bad on this. If you look on the surface, they are bad. But if you deep dive, he actually does a pretty good job. But he makes some really bad blunders. I mean, I would consider Derek Barnett a bust.
Yeah.
A guy
I'd have to go back and look at the rest of that draft. Who else was on the board? What year was that?
17.
Derek Barnett draft class. Let's just type that in here real quick. I just want to see who else was on, because obviously it was a bust, but was it, the bust that we make it out to be? I don't know. I got to find it out. It depends on who else was on the board at that exact second.
I agree. I think that's part of the problem too. He may have been the best.
Yeah. All right. So he was taken 14th by the Eagles. The next few picks: safety Malik Hooker went to the Colts. You had cornerback Marlon Humphrey. You had defensive end Jonathan Allen to Washington. Adoree Jackson, cornerback. O.J. Howard, tight end. Garrett Boyles, Jared Davis. Some of these guys, nothing. I mean, Jabril Peppers, safety. I mean, he turned out okay.
Some of those names that you just read off right after are way better than Derek.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about it, but I mean, 29 teams missed on him. At the 30th pick in the first round, T.J. Watt went to the Steelers. That obviously was a miss for everybody. You know what I mean? So, right before the Eagles took Derek Barnett, Hassan Reddick went to the Cardinals. But I guess Malik Hooker, Marlon Humphrey, Adoree Jackson, they're all guys, cornerbacks and safeties that could have helped this team then and now. But again, that's not Howie's MO. Howie's MO is he likes those defensive ends in the first round.
When I say bust, I don't mean bust as in I think Howie made a mistake necessarily with that pick, but I just think Derek Barnett just never see, I don't agree. I can't, just because somebody picked up a fumble doesn't mean I'm not going to bash a guy. The guy sucks. I mean, plain and simple. He doesn't get to he doesn't do what the defensive end should do, get to the quarterback. I mean, and he had how many terrible penalties, consistently every single year. It hasn't been fixed, hasn't improved on that area of his game. That to me, I'm glad he's gone. Yeah.
Hey, but again, as I said yesterday on the show, do not be surprised if on June 1st, Derek Barnett is still a part of this roster. Again, people are going to freak out that he's still on the roster. But the cap savings, I forget now again, I said it yesterday, $5 or $7 million in cap space you save by cutting him after June 1st. So he is not going to get cut until after June 1st. Yeah, exactly. He's not gone yet because you can't cut him until post June 1st. Again, you guys all should go watch Jimmy Smith's On the Road to Victory, the one he did 2 nights ago, because he broke down every single guy that could get cut, traded, or restructured, and the cap savings it brings. Now, they're not going to do it to all of them, but the fact that so many of these moves, like Brandon Brooks, will still be on this team on June 1st. His official retirement won't go into effect till June 2nd because of the cap. He's doing the Eagles a favor by doing that. He gets, I guess, a little bit of his bonus money, but the cap savings by doing that, So Joe finally checking in. I've been working with Joe, trying to get him on, in the comment sections. He's a little computer illiterate like me. He couldn't figure it out. Barnett is a good run stopper. I'd be fine if he was still here on a cheaper deal. He's not a starting edge. I mean, I wouldn't be fine. I wouldn't be upset if he was still here. I just think it's time to move on. Sometimes it's just time to put
that's
the rearview mirror. Yeah, I just think it's time to move on.
Need a fresh,
right.
You have Josh Sweat, who actually had a pretty decent season. I believe Josh Sweat's coming into his own. I think Josh Sweat, when it's all said and done, will be way better than Derek Barnett. Like Josh Sweat is on an improvement track that Barnett never showed improvement.
I was kind of disappointed in Josh Sweat last year.
I get that, but
he got his big extension, and then he didn't do much.
But he's improved every year as a player. And where he was drafted, you got to remember that. You got more production out of him as a 4th round pick than Derek Barnett at a 1st round and the salary that Derek Barnett was making. I mean, that should tell you all you need to know. Mm-hmm. They definitely need another end. I mean, I've been saying it for how long? That's
we need 2 ends.
Defensive end. defensive end is the number one important position on his team to fix. It is. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, I didn't take one in my mock because
Well,
odds
I'm
are
so
voted
glad-
all, but
It's funny because yesterday I spent a lot of time talking about how my number one free agent target is Marcus Williams, the safety from the Saints. But we just need one safety. Whether we get it in free agency or if Kyle Hamilton slips or we trade up to get him. But we need to draft an elite defensive end and sign a defensive end. We need to draft a wide receiver and sign. Like, wide receiver and defensive end are two positions that need to be massively upgraded with multiple players, draft and free agency. Where safety, you're just looking at one. You know what I mean? These positions are things that are so depleted right now that you got to get more. And again, you go get elite defensive ends, all of a sudden the linebackers we have, even if we don't draft one, a little bit better. You know what I mean? It makes them better. You get an elite pass rush, all of a sudden your cornerbacks are a little bit better. So, but as we said, as Dirk Barnett needs to move on, we need to move on. I just want to talk some other random topics around sports, and we're going to start with football. Because obviously Aaron Rodgers, we've talked about all these different quarterbacks that are going to be on the move. Actually, we need two safeties, but we can get by with one. Yeah, I mean, Marcus Epps, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Aaron Rodgers talked that he was going to be on the move. I've joked about Denver, that seemed a likelihood. Then yesterday, Aaron Rodgers put out some cryptic, Instagram posts, made people think he was going to retire. Then, of course, he got on some shows and said, no, that's not what I'm talking about. So do you think Aaron Rodgers would actually pull a retirement card out here if he doesn't get his way and get traded out at Green Bay? Because the GM made a statement last night or this morning. I was reading it on ESPN this morning. That he said to the rumors that there was a handshake deal that if he wanted to leave, that the Green Bay Packers would trade him. And the GM blatantly said, no, we do not have that kind of a deal.
Wait, who said it? Aaron Rodgers?
The GM of the Packers said that there was no handshake deal that I would trade Aaron Rodgers.
Who said there was a handshake deal, though?
ESPN reporters are reporting that was something that was done behind the scenes last year for him to come back and play in 2021.
Well, a report just popped up on my screen that says Rodgers drawing trade offers, nearing decision for 2022.
Dude, there's so many. So what happens with the Aaron Rodgers situation?
This report just came over. It said Rodgers drawing trade offers. So, I mean, I'm assuming he gets traded. I mean, it's been a bunch of to me, it's all drama, which, 1 week he's being traded. Next week he might retire. This week you're asking me, what do I think is going to happen?
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen with the situation?
I think he's too proud to retire.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to.
I'm just going to leave this one up on the screen because I agree with this 1,000%.
I believe he wants a ring, and I believe that he can say all he wants that the fences have been mended. But the way he acted last year, wanting out and threatening to sit out and all that nonsense before he played, and then to have his season come crashing down the way it did, performing terribly in that playoff game, having probably one of his worst playoff games he's ever had, in a history of not having some good playoff games. I would say, to me, it's like ripe for a change. I think he's traded. I think the number one destination, obviously, a lot of people are saying Denver. Denver has a pretty decent defense. They got a couple good wide receivers on the outside. Obviously, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. I'm still not totally sold on Jerry Jeudy. I mean, he had a lot of talent coming out of the draft, but he hasn't shown extreme, ability to. It's not like he's been like this superstar on the field. Obviously, last year he got hurt, and he played with bad quarterbacks. So I don't know if you can necessarily judge him, because I think you could put any wide receiver and you look at any situation and change teams, and the wide receiver will all of a sudden be, so much more productive. I mean, we've talked about it how often about Justin Jefferson. Had Justin Jefferson been drafted by the Eagles, instead of Minnesota, would he have put up those same numbers that he did in Minnesota? And I think the answer is absolutely no. Because Minnesota also had Adam Thielen. They had Dalvin Cook. they have more weapons. Like the Eagles' problem is that you saw it with Devonta Smith. They drafted Devonta Smith, but he was it. That was all they had. They didn't have anybody else to open up the field so that Devonta Smith could actually be the guy, and that's why we're saying wide receiver is important. Same goes for, I think Rodgers is going to want to go wherever there's the best situation for him to win. I know people are saying Denver. I don't necessarily think Denver's the best spot. To me, I look at a team like Carolina that has Christian McCaffrey, has DJ Moore, who may be one of the most underrated wide receivers. Like, talk about a guy that has not really had great quarterbacks and has had, great seasons. DJ Moore is a guy like he's looking to be able to just bust out and be like Devontae Adams, like the next guy. George is. That's probably
I touched on it a few, maybe even longer than a few weeks ago. So my food delivery driver that delivers my food supplies at my restaurant, he lives in Pittsburgh. He works out of Pittsburgh. Okay. And I don't remember what the exact words he used on why it was a connection, but I guess Aaron Rodgers has some kind of connection to the Pittsburgh area. And he said at the end of the season that on sports talk radio in Pittsburgh, which I don't want to make a joke, but I'm sure sports talk radio in Pittsburgh's not what we know of sports talk radio, but that they think that they have a chance and would be a perfect spot for Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. You got Deontay Johnson, you got Chase Claypool, you've got Najee Harris, a great running back there. You've got still a decent defense there in Pittsburgh, and a really good organization to be a part of with Mike Tomlin and that the ownership group there. Pittsburgh's something that no one's talking about, but something to keep an eye on as a sneaky little play that they
under
can pull
the radar.
out.
No, I like that idea.
Spot on, Carter. Spot on right there. That's why you should be listening to Trending in the AM every single morning. That's why, because we bring a different little vibe to the morning show talk region there.
I think that's an interesting under the radar, target for Rodgers.
I said it yesterday, Jason. I don't know if you agree with me, but I will 1,000% say there is no way that the Pittsburgh Steelers front office statement of earlier this week that we are okay going into next season with Mason Rudolph as our starting quarterback. There's no way that even the front office believes that statement that they just said. No way.
That's almost as non-believable as Howie Roseman saying and Nick Sirianni saying that Jalen Hurts is our guy. It's just, you don't believe it. It's statements that these guys make to save face. I mean, right. Talk about Howie Roseman, I will give him credit. He's always had a good poker face. I mean, whenever it comes to, what he says and what he actually is doing, it's generally two different things. And most of the time it's the opposite. But yes, I agree. There's no way that Mason Rudolph is the future of Pittsburgh. I'm sorry. I've watched Mason Rudolph. And that's not a knock on Mason Rudolph. He's just Mason Rudolph.
I want to address Carter's thing here because I do it too. I bash Angelo and Mikey. Why I stopped listening to sports talk radio? Carter, you're a young baby. There was a time when Jason and I, when we were growing up in the 90s and the late 80s. Let me tell you something. The guys that we make fun of on sports talk radio were actually really legitimately smart, intelligent. I mean, they were great. I wanted to be a sports journalist because of those guys. I wanted to be on the radio because of those guys. There's nothing better than riding in the car with my dad, listening to the sports talk radio. But the problem is,
it's become toxic.
It might have become part of like the media age or the social media age with clickbait and stuff like that. They became the legends, the guys that we all bash now. They've become, I call them cartoon characters of their former self, and that's what they are. Problem is, they're actually really smart minds, but because of the clickbait era and the social media era, they've got to do different things and they become cartoons. And that's why I've lost interest in those guys. I didn't want to spend hours talking about them or anything, but I could talk hours about them. So I want to go back to an old question here, Carter. Thoughts on the USFL? Okay, I didn't touch on it yet much, and I will touch on it. I've actually reached out to. I haven't gotten a firm answer yet, but from Brian Scott. He was the guy drafted to be the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Stars in the USFL. I got a text message from Vince. He's one of the head agents over at Pro Level Sports Agency. They got a lot of their football clients that have been drafted. I've got a lot of messages out. I'm working on bringing a lot of these guys on. He's not a representative of Brian Scott, so I don't have that connection. So I'm still trying to get him on. But I got a text message 30 seconds after it was announced that Brian Scott was drafted by the Philadelphia Stars by Vince. He's also on Twitter. He's the alternate football scout. It's he basically has a page dedicated to non-NFL players, to other football leagues and their scouting reports and all. It's really actually pretty interesting stuff. But the text message said, you guys got a stud. If this guy didn't play Division III football, he'd be playing in the NFL. And then I got a text message yesterday from him that out of all 8 teams in the USFL, in his opinion, and he knows all these guys because he scouted them for his website, the Philadelphia Stars had the best draft of all 8 teams, and that we should be favored to win the first season of the USFL. That's how good they are. So will you watch USFL football when it comes on TV in April?
Absolutely.
Not just because of that, or just
No,
because of what I said?
Absolutely, because I remember when the USFL, obviously, guys like Carter were probably either not born yet or
right,
maybe
exactly, definitely not.
very much in their
Carter's like 22 years old. So
oh yeah, well then he wasn't born.
I was in college. I was in college doing keg stands when Carter was being born.
But if you remember the old USFL, I mean, how many great NFL players came from that league? Obviously, Reggie White, probably one of the most, I mean, arguably one of the best defensive players of all time, came from the USFL. I mean, you had Doug Flutie. You had so many guys that came from the USFL. So I look at this as being like kind of like a minor league for the NFL. Maybe eventually, if it works out, I think it's a great idea. Honestly, I do. I think it's.
Yeah, that's you just brought up something that just popped into my head real fast. Sorry to cut you off. The minor league for the NFL. It was announced 2 days ago that the XFL, that's coming back next year in 2023, has signed a deal with the NFL to kind of partner together to make sure that the rules are the same, to test things out in the XFL that might come into the NFL, to kind of be a pipeline for the NFL. That's something that the USFL should be looking into, that kind of an agreement as well, right?
I agree. I think it's an awesome idea. I think it can help evolutionize the game. I think the problem is as great of a product that the NFL is, you have to remember it's like anything. And we've talked about this on Sports and Metal, like Aaron and I. Actually, Aaron brought up on the last show about how, baseball players right now, that the look is just so bad. How like these minor league guys want like all this money and they want $1 million, but Aaron brought up a legit great point. Like, think about bands that were starting back in the day, like that weren't making any money. What kept them hungry? It's not about the money. It's about the drive and the ability to want to be great at what you do. It's the same for us. It's why you and I always critique every one of our shows. We go back and we watch them, and we not only look at what we did well, but we look at what we did wrong and how can we get better? Well, the same attributes you can look at in the NFL. If the NFL sits back on their laurels and they say, well, we don't have to do anything else. I get it. It's a conglomerate. It's bigger than reality. But if you want to continue to evolve and attract different audiences and get even bigger, the only way to do that is to have new, fresh ideas. And I think having these other leagues, it can't hurt to try them. Will they succeed? Who knows? I mean, we've seen how many leagues come out and bust. But my point is that it gives another avenue. And actually, when the USFL season happens, it'll give you another time to watch football. Think about how we're missing football right now.
I mean, although George is saying he'd rather watch the Flyers play.
No, George doesn't know that. George, you don't know.
I won't lie, George. I said it last week that I'm going to start like a comment of the day kind of thing on the show. This might be the comment of the day. I'm just going to strongly disagree with it. Oh, man, that's hilarious.
My God, no. He does not understand how bad the Flyers and pathetic are right now. The Flyers are so pathetic that you're talking to somebody that has to cover them. I have a show, and we did total non-Flyers talk on the show because I just can't talk about it anymore. It's to the point where it's beyond talking. Yeah, I know what's up with the Flyers. The Flyers suck. They are an abomination in this city right now. Absolute disgrace. Disgusting. disheartening. I could use 100 D words to describe them.
Yeah. I don't want to use all those D. I don't want to use all those D words. We might get flagged by the SEC or something like
yeah,
that.
that's true.
Every D word on the air.
But the Flyers are absolute garbage. My hope is that obviously they continue to lose and acquire the best pick that they could possibly get in this draft. I agree with that, Carter.
We might go 2 minutes over now because I want to transit. The USFL actually has an opportunity if baseball continues this lockout.
Absolutely. Dude.
Fantastic. The baseball yesterday, the owners group put out a statement. If we do not have an agreement done by Monday, games will be canceled, and we will not pay the players once the season starts up for missed games, which in other lockouts, the 1990 lockout, when they missed games, they still went back and paid the players for the missed games or restructured the deal, so prorated so that they didn't miss out on any of their pay. It's obviously a negotiation tactic, a scare tactic by the owners to get the players to give in more. But, man, other leagues, the NBA, the USFL, the NHL, anybody else that's playing sports at the time that baseball does not start playing games will benefit, and it'll hurt baseball even more. Absolutely.
Baseball is just digging a bigger and bigger hole every day. The longer this goes on, the longer they're just alienating people and pissing people off. I mean,
100%.
If they think it was bad before right now, wait till they get a load if this does continue and they do miss games. Because remember, 2020 when COVID happened, people were pissed then, fans, even with the situation going on, knowing that people were losing lives. Like diehard fans were pissed off that baseball was only 60 games. How do you think they're going to react now when there's not COVID going on and this is just all about greed? Mm-hmm. I mean, do you think I'm going to sit around and go to games? I'm not. Because I told you before, I operate in a way where if I'm not happy with a product, I'm not going to spend the money. And I know I'm only one person and I'm not making a difference in the larger scheme of things. But for my own personal values and the way that I feel about, watching games, I have to do it for myself because I'm not going to support a team or a league that is not trying to put out the best product on the field and treat fans who pay the money, by the way, that these players make. Let's face it, if it weren't for fans, you wouldn't freaking be getting these contracts. Mm-hmm. Because it's not just the contracts of the people going to games, it's the TV contracts, and people watch TV. If people didn't watch TV, they wouldn't have these contracts, correct? So the only way to realistically make a difference is to collectively have that same attitude. And I know it's not going to happen, but I've already done it with the Flyers. I won't go to another Flyers game until either A, they change ownership, or B, they totally change their philosophy and start doing something, to rectify 12 years of absolute, the epitome of mediocrity and not doing what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's what the NHL is, and that's what the Flyers are. And the Phillies are going to be the same. I'm not going to buy tickets to games. Why should I waste my night to go down to Citizens Bank Park after what they're doing to me and pissing me off?
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And I think as this goes on, I keep having different feelings, just like I had different feelings on the James Harden trade every other day. Whether he was coming or not coming, whether he was coming or not coming, blah, blah, blah. I keep having different feelings every single day on whether baseball get this done with in time or not. But this morning, I'm feeling they're not going to get it done in time. They're still so far apart on so many financial issues. And then the owners throwing this ultimatum out there. It's kind of like a big FU, take our deal or don't get paid. We can survive. We're billionaires. You can't survive. It's crazy. It really is. And I really, really feel we might, this lockout might go into late March. Somebody on Twitter recently, it wasn't Jason Stark, but it was a bigger named blue checkmark baseball reporter. Maybe it was Ken Rosenthal. I'm not sure who it was. Anyway, whoever it was put out that they don't see the baseball season starting until June 1st, and they see it being a 100-game season. I'm telling you, if that's what happens, first off, the USFL, again, sorry, George, your comment got second place. Carter's comment here wins the show today, the USFL is going to have an audience there to watch football, and there's going to have no competition. I'm not going to be going to a Sunday baseball game. I'm going to be watching a USFL football game instead. I'm just saying, it's fantastic.
It's disgraceful.
really,
I mean, and we really haven't talked much about the lockout on, at least me and you on our show. I mean, we've touched on it, but like that whole Juan Soto thing, like that would to me just showed you like absolute. Like the fact of the matter is that he was offered a $350 million contract and he turned it down because he's betting on himself. When the fact is that guaranteed contracts only exist in Major League Baseball. What happens if he goes out and blows his knee? Remember, Ronald Acuna signed a major team-friendly deal, but he loves the game. What happened to loving the game? This is what I'm talking about. Juan Soto, to me, is an absolute idiot, and that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Because anybody that at that age turns down $350 million has an issue. That is greed. You
could do that with basketball. Dennis Schroeder turned down like a $95 million deal to, was it with the Lakers or the Celtics? And then now he's a buyout candidate guy playing for $1 million a year right now.
That's greed. That's greed at its largest scale. I mean,
overvaluing your self-worth. Absolutely.
Exactly. Like, dude, like nobody is making.
You offer me $3 million, $350,000. I'm signing that contract right now.
Dude, you could offer me $3,000. You could offer me $100,000 a year to play in the major leagues, and I would do it because,
I mean, you would probably strike out a lot, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but my point is that
what position what position would you be playing in baseball?
Well, I played center field in high school.
All right.
Yeah, I was an outfielder, and then I played a little bit of right field too.
Okay.
I wasn't obviously a power hitter. I'm not, a real big guy, but I hit for hit for average.
Okay.
That was my game.
All right. My game was I could play. They put me all over the field, outfield, third base, shortstop, because I had a cannon of an arm. I mean, when I was pretty darn young, I could from center field, I can line drive a ball without bouncing it to a trash can at home plate and get it in there. But you could throw me a beach ball and I would swing and miss at it. Still to this day. I could not. I was literally the definition of late game defensive replacement because I was a guaranteed out every single time I was. Even I played in an adult high arc softball league a few years back, and I don't know if you ever played in an adult softball league before, but in baseball, a 300 batting average is like really, really good. An average in softball leagues is like 400. Really good is like 500-600. I was batting like 280 in slow pitch softball because our team kept stats. That's how bad I was. In slow pitch softball, I couldn't hit 300. That's how bad of a hitter I am.
Well, so just to reiterate, so I said I wasn't a power hitter, but my greatest memory as a child, and this was in Little League, it was like the Little League champion. It was the game to go to the championship. I actually hit a 3-run triple to win the game, and that was like my greatest memory ever. Like I almost hit the fence. It was like, and I couldn't believe it because I wasn't used to hitting.
I have my favorite memory. I mean, I forget, it was 6th or 7th grade. I mean, I was known as the defensive replacement, but I wasn't the most popular kid on the team because I was a guaranteed out every single time I was up at the plate. But we were bad. My team in middle school, it was a really bad team. We won one game that year, and it was this game specifically. And I was put into third base for defensive replacements late in the game, and we had the other team had like the bases loaded or something like that, and there's one out, and I made a diving along the line, Mike Schmidt style stop, fired the ball to second, and turned a double play like you would see as a top 10 play on ESPN Sports Center. And that play, that was the first time my teammates ever celebrated me or patted me on the back or hoisted me up or whatever. That was my number one memory right there.
Awesome, man.
Anyway,
awesome.
All right, so we're ending on a good note right there. So everybody, thank you for tuning in to Trending in the AM this morning. We went 5 minutes over, but that's okay. Just going to be 5 minutes late for work. That's all that matters. Make sure you're following us on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. We've gotten the road to 500. All right, now we're on the road to 1,000. I need that 1,000 subscriber. That way we can start getting paid. So we could do, if we get to 1,000 subscribers, maybe I could work a little bit less and this show could go to 2 hours. Who knows? That'd be fantastic. George would go crazy if we went 2 hours. So talking Russell Wilson every single day. So make sure you're sharing the show out, retweeting it, following us, subscribing, hitting the thumbs up, and getting your comments in on the show always. We appreciate it always. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at Beard of Knowledge. I'm your host, Phil Stifel, joined by my co-host, as always. He'll be back tomorrow with me again, Jason Voorhees at Mustang3651. We'll be back tomorrow. And hey, guys, as we end every show,
Go Birds.
Go Birds!